This is Coach Kim Barnes Arico, and you are watching Champ Media. Teams that are championship teams are so unselfish. Teams that have left the most impact on me, have been the ones that are unselfish and willing to sacrifice and work incredibly hard, and they're just built a little bit different. I've been fortunate to coach a few of those here at the University of Michigan.
So when you're recruiting young high school kids, what do you look for out of them as people and players?
Do they play like they love the game? Are they passionate about it? Do they have that fire? Do they have that intensity? Do they go hard?
Yeah.
So those are probably the most important things I look for when I'm out recruiting.
Welcome back to Hail to Her. I'm Haley Polk, and I'm here today with Coach Kim Barnes Arico, the winningest coach in Michigan basketball history. Coach Arico, thanks so much for being here.
Haley, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
Of course. All right. You're no doubt a legend. You've had an incredible legacy here at Michigan. You first took the job in 2012. Did you ever imagine at that time that you'd be the winningest coach in Michigan history?
No, and you give me an opportunity to really reflect on my time here. When I first decided to come to the University of Michigan, I just wanted to be at a place that believed in excellence, and you were surrounded by excellence in everything that you did. And for me, it was people like Coach Hutch, Coach Bev, all the great coaches that were at this university that inspired me to come here. I would have an opportunity to watch them, to learn from them. And, you know, I wouldn't even put myself in the same sentence as them, but to be able to be here for the past, 13 years has been pretty amazing.
And other than looking up to legends like the people you just mentioned, what do you think has allowed you to have such sustained success over this time?
I think early in my career, I was at St. John's before I was at the University of Michigan, and I took over a program that was ranked worst of the worst in college basketball. And for us at the time, it was always about getting to the NCAA tournament. How can we get to the NCAA tournament? And I remember when we got to our first NCAA tournament, we won the first round game. And, I thought I won a national championship, and I'm in the hall so excited. And Coach Arico, who's a friend of mine, came up to me and he's like, "It's easy to get there. The hard part is staying there." And that's something that really has stuck with me through all of these years, staying there. Like, how can you be consistent year in and year out? The great coaches, the great programs are the ones that are consistent year in and year out. So that ultimately has always been my goal, but that's having great people. It's great people in your program, and people means your assistant coaches. People means who are you surrounded by every single day? The players in your program, the people that believe in your vision, the people that are willing to do whatever it takes to be successful. And I have been fortunate since I've been at this university to have those type of people around me on a regular basis. And I give credit, all the credit is to the Block M and to the University of Michigan, because it attracts those type of people.
Yeah. So you mentioned St. John's. What got you into coaching in the first place?
Yeah, I just love to play. Like, it was really hard for me to stop playing. I just think the competitive juices, and I look at you, your career just came to an end, but just, what do women do? What do young people do when you don't have that professional outlet, when your career ends and you've always been so competitive? I met with a young woman this week, a lacrosse player, that her career just ended. And she's like, "I'm looking for a place to play. I'll play basketball. I'll play tennis. I'll play anything." And I think that's kind of what happened to me. I just wanted to play, and I joined all the leagues and, did everything I could. And then I had my first taste of coaching. And my college coach provided an opportunity for me. I was really young. A Division III coach got ill, and she had to leave right before the season started. And I was a teacher at the time. I was like 26. My players were 22. And it was my first job. And once I, had a taste of it, I was hooked. I just thought it was the greatest thing in the world, just to be around the sport, to be around young people, and to try to help them reach their goals, and to try to inspire them every day.
I love that. When you look back, whether it's your time here or your time at the other schools, were there particular seasons that stand out to you in terms of camaraderie or stellar seasons or poor performances or things that you could have done better? Like, were there times where you were like, I need to make a change?
Wow, that's a great question. There are definitely times that you could tell that the team was just different, that the team was really special, that it was player-led. You hear about the programs that win championships and their player-led teams. One of the first, I actually went to a wedding this spring of two of my former players, and we talked about that team. It was a Division II program. We started the year 21-0. We didn't think we were going to lose. We went to, I think, the Elite Eight that year, but it was our first game of the year. We were playing against a great opponent, and we hit a buzzer beater. The kids were just so unselfish, and then the last game of the year when we lost, all the parents just stood up and just were applauding the efforts that the kids gave all season long. And sometimes you don't see that. I think teams that are championship teams are so unselfish. Teams that have left the most impact on me have been the ones that are unselfish and willing to sacrifice and work incredibly hard. And they're just built a little bit different. I've been fortunate to coach a few of those here at the University of Michigan, some really special teams that have made great runs to Sweet 16s, to Elite Eights. Yeah,
I love that. And speaking of incredible people, you coached Naz Hillmon, who was a WNBA draft pick. She's obviously such a successful star. What has it meant to you to be able to mentor someone like her and see her succeed at the highest level?
Yeah, I think the most important thing for me in this position, the most important is to mentor young women. And, I have this little made up club in my head. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's the Powerful Women's Club. Okay. We have a plaque in my office from a former player that gave it to me years ago. And we talk about that club every single day at the circle when we come together as a team, and, how to be a strong woman and how to have your shoulders back and how to find your voice and find your place in every room. And, Naz was a player that was with me through COVID. And during that time, it was such a challenging time in this world. It was a challenging time in this country. And we still had a season. So many things were canceled, and we were still together as a program every day when most of the university was shut down. So I think we got so much time together to speak about all the things that were going on in the world, to try to find places where we could use our voices and places where we could make a difference. And, for me, that was one of the most special things about Naz. I mean, she's a tremendous basketball player, but she's even a better person. She was asked to be the graduation speaker that year, right after she got drafted. She's just different. But being at this university, it attracts different kind of people. It attracts those type of people. And Naz is one of those people that could have gone anywhere. She could have gone anywhere in the world. And she wanted to come to the University of Michigan, and she wanted to do something different. And she led us to the Sweet 16 and to the Elite Eight, into places that we had never been. That's one of the things about our program, and that's one of the things that drew me to Michigan. Michigan wins at the highest level in everything. They're the winningest program of all time in football. They've won in softball. They've won in gymnastics. They've won in tennis. They never have really won in women's basketball. And for me, that was a challenge. For Naz, that was a challenge. I think for the players that come to our program, they want to win a championship and they want to hang banners for the University of Michigan.
I love that. A lot of your life is basketball, and you're mentoring these young girls. But I kind of want to talk about family and being a mom in Michigan, what that role has looked like. Cece, your daughter, is obviously such a highly recruited young basketball player right now. What has your role looked like, not only being a coach here, but being a coach to her in your own home?
Yeah, another great question, and one that is really important to me, because I think, in this space, a lot of times women leave because they don't feel like they can invest 100% of their time into being a coach and 100% of their time into being a mom. And I think it's really important that young girls, that young women see people in this space that look like them And that doesn't mean it's not going to be challenging at times. Life is hard at times, and it is challenging at times. You just need to have a great circle of people that are around you, that support you, and you can do it. And that's like part of my role as being a mom, is helping my assistant coaches. Right now, I have 2 assistant coaches that are single moms at this moment with 2 little kids trying to juggle it. And every day when it gets hard, or they have tears in their eyes, or they think they can't do it anymore, I'm like, no, yes, you can. Yeah. And I think it's important for us to support women in that space. But being a mom is my greatest achievement of my life. And as much as I love coaching, and I do, and if you can ask probably my children, they might think my coaching is, but being a mom is the greatest. I said I ran the New York City Marathon the year before I came to Michigan. And everybody asked me about it after, like, is it the greatest thing? And I said, second to giving birth of my children, it was probably the greatest thing I've ever done. But I have 3 children. Fortunately for me right now, my boy was a Division III basketball player. He's home now and he's working with our men's program, so I get to see him on a regular basis. I never was able to coach my girls because we have all these kind of crazy rules that you can't coach your girls because it's like a recruiting advantage. So I got to coach my boy. And that was always something that hit home with me. He's like, Mom, you were always the best coach that me or my buddies ever had. Like, why when I got to high school are there no women coaching me? Why when I'm in college are there no women coaching me? And I was like, phenomenal question, Trevor. I ask myself that every day as well. But then my daughters, my middle daughter here is a lacrosse player. She's in her sophomore season. She loved basketball as well. And, I got to watch her grow up and play basketball and lacrosse. And now it's so great that she chose the University of Michigan so I could try to juggle that schedule and see as many games as I can. I feel bad at times because they have move-in with their team tomorrow, and I have recruits. Sorry, but my kids get it, and I think one of the most important things is that they get to be around this, and they have grown up around my team who are strong young women. Yeah. So whether that's Emma or Cece, got to grow up around strong young women, and even Trevor. And I think that's really important, for my son to be in that space, because he thinks that, girls are as strong as boys, and he doesn't think there's any difference. And I always tell this story. He was on the basketball court and he got in a fight with an official. I was coaching his team. He was about 10 years old, and the ref called 10 seconds. And he went over to the ref, and 10 seconds in the backcourt. He's like, there is no 10 seconds. Sir, you don't know the rules. What do you mean 10 seconds? Well, he was playing boys basketball and there were 10 seconds. In the girls game, there was no 10 seconds. And he didn't even know that. Yeah. So I think that's pretty cool that my children have been able to grow up in this space. Right now, Cece, like you have mentioned, is ranked one of the top players in the 2027 class. Yeah. So this is new space for me too. Hopefully one day she's a Wolverine. But
fingers crossed.
Yeah, but she's has a pretty great high school career ahead of herself.
Yeah, that's exciting, and it's been so great to meet your family through Emma being on the team. How have you been able? Like, you're traveling, you're recruiting and doing things all the time. How have you been able to separate? Like, how do you go about making time for your family and being able to watch the kids versus being Coach Arico?
Yeah, a lot of times throughout my career, I've had just great people kind of hit me with something really important right when you needed it the most. Mm-hmm. And I remember, I think it was a young broadcaster who's now an old broadcaster because she's like my age, but a long time ago when we were both young, she said to me, be present where you are. So when you're home, try to put your phone away. Try to just spend time with your family when you're home. When you're at the office, you're all in at the office. When your team needs you, you're all in. I wish it was always that easy, Haley. Yeah. It's really not, because our job is really, 24/7, and, I can get a call at any time of day. But I think I've been fortunate and blessed enough that my family has been able to be a part of it every single step of the way. And I can't thank the University of Michigan enough for that, or every program that I've been a part of. I remember when Trevor was first born, He was a month old and he was sitting in a stroller at practice, every practice.
Wow.
I remember nursing Emma and Cece and being on the road all through August and July, and they traveled with me because I was nursing. So it's just something that I figured out how to do. But also, I can't give enough credit to my husband, who, when we moved to Michigan, was a stay-at-home dad. I mean, who does that?
Yeah.
He was a college football coach. He was an athletic director. And when I had the opportunity to come to the University of Michigan, my family needed him at that point. Cece and Emma were really small. They needed him to stay at home. And Cece would always say, no, my dad's job is to make me 3 things. He makes me 3 things at dinner. He brings my lunch to school every day. And he makes me breakfast in the morning. There's not a lot of guys that may be able to handle that.
Yeah.
But our world was a little bit different. And thankfully, he didn't have that ego that he couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
And that was something that, I'm blessed that my children had that experience through their lives.
Yeah, I love that. Still talking about your life beyond the court. You're kind of answering some of my other questions that I had, but we see the coach side of you. But what are you actually like outside of basketball? What do you like to do?
Well, I was going to say, if you ask my children, they would say I'm pretty much exactly the same. Very quick story, playing apples to apples when the kids were young. And I think Cece was, 3 or 4, and she didn't know I wasn't there. I was traveling. She didn't know what a word was. And my mom and my husband were at the table. And, my mom was like, well, do this and do that. And make sure you clean up this and make sure you clean up that. And she turned around and she goes, my mom? Is that the word on the card? My mom? And they go, no, the word is demanding. And I was like, okay, thank you. And my mom spit out her water. But I think at home, I'm probably, the other day I thanked Cece for cleaning the house. And then I said to the 3 of them when they were home, I said, it's just so nice having you guys here. And I was smiling and they're like, wait, is this my mom? And maybe it was because Cece cleaned the house. But I guess, the demanding is the makeup, I would guess, probably of every, college coach or, successful person or, leader is demanding. Yeah. But I do think I still have those competitive juices. I like to play. I mean, I know it sounds silly. Yeah. I'm not 20 anymore, but I feel like I'm 20.
And that's okay.
Yeah. I like to play pickleball. I, like to go for a run. I like to just be outside. I love to be with my family. I love to be with my friends. Yeah. We celebrated one of our staff members' birthday the other day. I got to do a little karaoke at Cirque. Don't put me on blast for that. Yeah. Don't tell my children. But I think I just love my family and I just try to be positive and love life.
I love that. So, as a coach and as a mom, do you view, when you watch Cece play, for example, or when you watched Emma when she was still playing basketball, did you view the game or watching her play any differently from like a mom's perspective versus a coach's perspective?
It is so hard. And Trevor probably got it the worst because I got to coach him as well. It's really hard, I think, to watch when I coach that sport. And for me, lacrosse and gymnastics, like Cece was a gymnast for a really long time, a high-level gymnast, and, Emma played lacrosse. So I go to those games and I just cheer and I just celebrate everything. I was cheering one time at a gymnastics meet and the mom told me that was just warm-ups. So I had no idea. I'm like, oh, well, she did a really great job.
Competitive juices.
Yeah, I'm like, that was awesome. Yeah. Basketball is a little bit more, when I would go to Emma's games and Cece was little and she would sit next to me, she would get up and go to a different part of the gym. Because I have that coaching where I'm always like talking the game. And I don't think, I'm trying to outcoach their coach. I'm just always, talking the game more so than, trying to be a coach. Take a charge there or get that loose ball or hustle after the play and just talking through the game. I don't think it's a negative thing. I don't anyway. If you was my children, maybe they would. But
it's hard not to.
It's hard
You're a
not to.
coach.
Yeah, it's hard
It's your
not
job.
to. But I just think probably more so in basketball than any other sport. So it's kind of been a refreshing or a breath of fresh air to watch the lacrosse games and to watch different sports so I can just celebrate, Michigan's success.
Yeah, I love that. And a lot of this podcast is about inspiring the next generation of women. And I love that I have you on the show and that I'm able to make these questions because you're giving an entirely different perspective on how to inspire people. Not only, the people we've had before are inspiring other girls because they're still in the shoes that they want to be in, but you are a direct reflection of who these kids have become, if that makes sense, or who these student athletes are now. So when you're recruiting young high school kids, what do you look for out of them as people and players?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things for me is, do they love the game? Do they play like they love the game? Are they passionate about it? Do they have that fire? Do they have that intensity? Do they go hard? Our program, has a staple that's been with us since day one. Like, we are the hardest working team in America. Every program says that, but how do we measure that? And we always talk about being able to measure that. How many times are we diving on the floor? How many times are we willing to mix it up? How many times are we trying to get loose balls? How many times are we going to step in there and take a charge? How many times are we out rebounding our opponent? Intangible things that are that don't only make talent win. So what else do you have besides talent? Obviously, you have to be extremely talented to play at the University of Michigan in any sport. But what is going to be your separator? And I just love people that play hard. That's kind of me as a coach. And I just love people that play with energy and play with passion and compete. Like, I just want you to compete. So those are probably the most important things I look for when I'm out recruiting.
I love that. So on the flip side, what do you think sets Michigan apart for a place to call home and to commit here? What do you think sets Michigan apart from other schools?
Yeah, well, we have a bunch of recruits coming this weekend, so I hope they get to listen. I just think for me, and what drew me here, is that everyone here has that same mentality.
Yeah.
And it's real. I've been here for a really long time now. And every day you wake up and you put on that Michigan shirt with that sense of pride and that sense of tradition. Like, this is not baloney. Like, the people that are surrounded by you, whether you're a lacrosse player, you're a football player, you're a student on campus, you are driven. You are driven at the highest level. You are passionate at the highest level to be the best. What greater place in the world? If you want that, now, if you're afraid of that, go somewhere else. But if you want that and you want to be surrounded by others that believe in that type of excellence, there is no greater university in the world than the University of Michigan. I just think you're going to get that every second of every day.
Yeah, you're firing me up right now. Like, why am I on the verge of tears? Because when you live it, you get it, and people don't get it until they're here.
Oh my gosh, but you have to come here. Like, you have got to come here. And some people, alums, get it. So when you bump into an alum anywhere, I'm from New York. You go to New York, you bump into an alum. You go overseas traveling, you bump into
everywhere.
Alum. That go blue, the passion that runs deep. I've been here, like I said, for 15 years almost. I never hear a negative word of anyone that has ever come to school here. So recruits, families, if you want your child to have the best experience in the community, Ann Arbor, what greater place for me to raise a family? What greater place to go to school? In the classroom, second to none. Like, you are going to be surrounded by excellence, professors that are passionate, that are driven, that wrote the book at the highest level. The kid sitting next to you is going to be the next CEO of Google, is going to run the next big corporation that we don't even know about. During COVID, we were all home. Every time I turned the TV on, I heard from another Michigan alum on every channel I turned on. Like, if your child has an opportunity to go to a place like this, like, it's a no-brainer. And then from an athletic perspective, the passion that every single person, when you get to put on that Michigan uniform, holy cow. Like, it's just different. And to be a part of something like that, that Block M, for the rest of your life, for now, to wear that and to represent and to step on Chrysler Court in that Michigan uniform is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah. And it's so funny you say that too, because I was just telling someone today, my professor from my last semester of college wrote The Mighty Ducks. He wrote the script for La La Land and Dear Evan Hansen. And like, there's so much excellence everywhere. And it's just so exciting that everyone in this throughout the school feels the same way.
Yes.
Okay. What do you think is the biggest adjustment for these girls when they go from playing the high school game to the college game?
It's a big adjustment. It is definitely a big adjustment. The transition from high school to college is real, even if you're an elite top player. I just think the demands and the schedule are crazy. It's insane. I mean, we have kids that come in every morning at 7 a.m. to get individual workouts or workouts on their own that aren't even, part of art because they're so driven. Then they're going to class from 8 to 1. Then they're coming and going to practice from 2 to 5. Then they're getting treatment because you have to take care of your body on the highest level. And then your nutrition and how important that is after that. Then you're going to study table. Then it's, last night there's an athletes in action meeting. If you want to be a part of that, then you're going to that. And before you know it, it's 10 o'clock and now you're starting the next day. Yeah. So I think the grind of that schedule, and most of these players that come from high school, especially in our program, and I'm sure all the programs, they've already are training at the elite level. So they're already coming with some of that, but then it's even dialed up even more. Now you're in classroom where the academic expectations are as high as your athletic expectations. And you have to do it from an academic. You can't let the academics slip either. So you have to do it from an academic perspective as well. So that daily grind, and it goes and goes and goes. So I think you have to be super organized. I think you have to be on top of your stuff, and you have to be driven. I think the other thing is the size and the speed and the physicality of playing at this elite level is a notch up from when you're coming from high school. And it depends on, what high school situation you had and where you played that prepares you for this, and what club you played for, AU program you played for that prepares you for this. But nothing can really prepare you until you get here, until you really live it.
Yeah. And you had star freshmen in Olivia Olson, Silas Swords, Mila Holloway, all of them. But they were able to acclimate so well. Did you see these patterns and these like regimens to make them so successful because of that?
They were just built different. Yeah. I mean, built different. And I can talk about those three, all day long, because it's very, very, very rare, especially in our game now, because women's basketball is so big and basketball for high school kids is so big that you have players that come in. They came in as freshmen. 3 of them started. 2 of them were, one was Big Ten freshman of the year. One was national top 5 freshman of the year. Yeah. Sila played in the Olympics. I have never met, and now we have Naz Hillmon, who's really, really a special player and crushing right now in the W. Probably the greatest player to ever put on a Michigan uniform. And then you have these 2 that come in last year, and Sila and Liv, and just had this incredible work ethic and competitive fire that I have never seen.
Yeah.
Olivia, this summer, just from, we kind of force them. And this is the other thing with both of them. You almost have to force them to shut down a little bit because they
Relax.
go, that's not a word in their vocabulary, which I really love. Yeah. But sometimes, you have to take care of your body too. We want them to be playing for a really, really long time at a really, really high level. And she just, we went out and did our fitness test yesterday and she won it.
Wow.
I mean, she's just incredible. Yeah. And Sila, just incredible. Sila played this summer for her national team, for the U19 team, for Team Canada. They're just built different. Yeah. They're Michigan women.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And they're built for our program and they're thriving. And it's just been fun to watch them.
I love that. What are you most excited for this upcoming season?
Every year is a new year. And I'm just excited. Like last year we went into it and we didn't know. We had 3 freshmen. We didn't know that they were going to be able to impact the game the way that they did. So, Jordan and Greta, two people that graduated with you, we weren't sure what they were going to be able to do as seniors with this freshman class. And they both had unbelievable seasons. Jordan getting drafted in the WNBA when she came in as a top 100 player. So that was like a credit to her. Both of them left last week. One is playing in Germany and one is playing in Italy. Yeah. So to continue their basketball careers. So now we're without two leaders. How are we going to turn the page? This is a new team. Everybody in the country knows who our three freshmen are now. Yeah. They're sophomores, but they put the country on notice last year. Mm-hmm. So they're not unknown anymore. So how are we going to be different than we were last year? How are we going to take those next steps? And I think that's really where our program tries to separate itself, is in the development of our players. Mm-hmm. I think our assistant coaches take tremendous, tremendous pride in that development. And we saw that with Greta and Jordan last year. But where are our steps going to be? And we know where our sophomores are going to be, but who else is going to step up? And for me as a coach, that's always the fun part. Is that going to be Alyssa Crockett, who's a senior for us? Is she going to have a breakout year? Is that going to be Macy Brown, or is that going to be Tayala Del Fos? Like, who's going to step out and really embrace that new role? And what is our team going to look like this year?
Well, I'm so excited to watch and to be on the sideline for the first time and be able to watch you guys. But thank you so much for being here.
Haley, you were awesome. And let me tell you, I don't say yes to everyone. And I watched your podcast last week and it was just phenomenal. I mean, how about that young lady that did that? That was so special. Yeah. Another great athlete at our university. But your podcast was awesome.
Thank you.
I never want to say no ever to any woman that is trying to knock down doors, break into any fields, do something different, do something that has never been done before. Women got to uplift women. Women got to support women. So I'm here. I'm going to watch every one of those episodes. I'm promoting it all around campus, and you keep crushing it.
Thank you.
Great
You're the best. Give me a hug. That's so cute. Thank you.